Stuka Joe here. Yes, folks, it's been a while. I was out for about 3-4 months. Was operated of the eye twice in the summer, 7 weeks looking down. But I'm back. Well, my eye is, the retina is in place because they filled my eye with silicone. So that's the only thing that keeps the retina in place. The downside is that the eyesight is like thin counters. It's crap. It can get a little better, but not much. So those are the cards that one is dealt in life, folks. So now, I did an unboxing video just to warm things up and to get back into the fray of things. And I just wanted to talk to you about what's going on with the channel, what you're going to see. During the time that I was looking down, curiously, I got requests from various people to do certain things relating to wargaming, but I couldn't do anything. I got requests to do, for example, rules of a tactical combat World War II game from a Spanish designer. They want to market the game in the United States, so they wanted me to help them with the English rules. I got a request by a very well-known designer to see if I could adapt the CDG Solo method to a CDG that he is designing. I got a request by the owner of a magazine, a wargame company, to do a solitaire module on one of their multiplayer games that they're going to publish later this year. I got a request from a Spanish gentleman who invented a solo system with artificial intelligence that would allow someone to play a very well-known operational Napoleonics war series. And I got a request or an invitation by a gaming company to do the cards for a CDG. Now, as to this last request, I was actually able to, when I was coming out of the phase of looking down, I was able to work on it, and I can even talk to you about it. Randy Leon, the owner of Legion Wargames, requested for me to see if I could do some cards for a CDG that's coming out soon. It's next in line. It's called The Great Game, and it's a game about the struggle between Great Britain and Russia in the 19th century to gain control or influence over Central Asia. And it's a topic I don't know much about, but that's the good thing about Legion Wargames, the thing that I like. There's many games on obscure topics, and I like that because that's the way I can learn about things other than the Battle of the Bulge, D-Day, or Barbarossa. So I decided to take the challenge. Now, I've been doing cards for a while for war games. I did a set of custom cards for the plot to assassinate Hitler, which I did a video about. I did cards, what I call sequence of play cards for Royal Air Force, RAF, the Battle of Britain, both for the Lion and the Eagle versions. And I've always used PowerPoint to do all these graphics for cards. Now I learned, Randy taught me that PowerPoint isn't good for printing things, you know, to be sold commercially. So I had to step up my game and learn Photoshop. I had like a crash course in Photoshop, watching videos on the internet. And the great thing about the internet nowadays, you ask a question, specific question, and you get the answer or the video where the answer is. So that's the way I could quickly learn what I wanted to know. Now, I'm not an expert at Photoshop, but I'm learning quickly. And I wanted to show you the cards of the game. And making cards for a war game is very interesting. I've been playing war games for many years, and sometimes the cards are hard to read or difficult to use. And so you have to make them easy to read, user-friendly. The colors have to match or combine with the colors of the other components in the game. And, you know, cards, we associate cards with fun. I think when we're young, we play card games, and I think people associate cards with fun. And I think that's, when you see cards in a game, we think, oh, it's going to be a fun game. I like CDGs a lot. So I want to thank Randy for the opportunity of allowing me to make the cards for the Great Game. They're almost finished, but I had a great time, and I can see myself doing more and more of these. It's almost like therapeutic for me. Now, I also wanted to talk to you about the CDG Solo method. While I was looking down all these weeks, a gentleman by the name of Chris Crane helped me out and made 2 tweak sheets for 2 games, 2 CDGs, Empire of the Sun by GMT, and also Wilderness War, also from GMT. And you can see, though, you can download those tweak sheets in version 1.6 of the source book, which is in the file section for Paths of Glory, as well as in Consim World under Consim World Cafe. You're going to see there a page for card-driven games solo. John Kranz was kind enough to give me a page for that project, so I've been uploading things CDG Solo method related there. And while I was doing that, I also was fortunate enough to get in contact with a designer of a CDG which I'm very interested about. And I'm talking about John Führer, the designer of 1866, The Struggle for Supremacy in Germany, published by Compass Games. And why am I interested in this game? Because I believe this game has something I haven't seen in any other CDG or any other game. It has a true mobilization model. If you've played Paths of Glory, you know that the deck is divided in 3 epochs: Mobilization, Limited War, and Total War. But you set up the forces in the same spaces every single time. So the mobilization deck is not really a mobilization model in which units are deployed and in forward areas ready to assume the offensive position or defensive position if attacked. Now, in 1866, there is a true mobilization model. It's a CDG. The card deck is divided in 2 decks, and the first deck is the mobilization deck. And in that first epoch, there is no combat. So you can't even cross the border and attack your enemy. You mainly bring units onto the map and deploy them forward to areas near the border in order for when your side is attacked, you're ready, or when you're ready to attack, you play the Declaration of War card. And I find this very interesting because the game has a built-in scenario generator. The war is going to start differently every single time. And it is going to be a product of the decisions you made during the mobilization epoch. And I would really like to see that more in war games. Imagine a World War I war game that instead of starting in August with the opening moves of the German armies in the west or in the east, you start in July when Gavrilo Princip assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And from there on, you had this chain of events and diplomatic overtures and communications and miscommunications that ended up triggering the war with the respective powers on both sides. And I think that could be modeled using that type of approach with this mobilization aspect that we don't see in war games too often. Now, we are seeing more and more war games that have to do with more political events or diplomatic events. So I think wargaming has expanded its horizons. You've seen Mark Herman's Churchill, where you have diplomacy affecting military operations. And the focus there is actually the diplomacy. And you have that in Pericles, even though I haven't played Pericles yet. And in the unboxing that I just made, I unboxed the annual for Against the Odds magazine, and one of the games there, designed by John Prados, is Seeds of Disaster, a game about the invasion of France by the Germans in 1940. But the game doesn't start in 1940. It starts in 1934 with all the respective countries at peace, and then it escalates to belligerency eventually and to outright war. But during this time, from 34 to 39 or 40, you are gaining intelligence on the enemy, conducting espionage, you are developing technology-wise, your armed forces. So when the war starts, you may have a fully mechanized force, or you may have, the Maginot Line and let's hope nobody hurts us kind of attitude, which France had. And so I find it very interesting because what the game designer is telling us is that the decisions made by the powers in the years prior to the war had an impact on the result of the campaign. And that's true in a sense in every campaign and in every war. We just don't see it as war gamers because we start playing the game when the hostilities begin. So I really find that fascinating. And I see that wargaming has expanded its horizons to the causes of the war. And you've seen, we're going to see that with Mark Herman's Fort Sumter, which is coming out soon, where the game explores the events of 1860 since the election of Abraham Lincoln right up to the start of the war, to the bombing of Fort Sumter. So I think wargaming is much broader than what it used to be. And us wargamers have come a long way because we've broadened our horizons. In the 1970s, if it wasn't a hex and counter game with zones of control, we wouldn't pay attention to it. That wasn't a war game. Nowadays, a war game has a much broader definition. Now, I want to get back to 1866, the struggle for supremacy in Germany. What I intend to do in order to show you how that model works is to do a video on the extended example of play, which is included in the game. It's pretty substantial and is very well written. So I'll do a video on the extended example of play, which includes a mobilization epoch, fully conducted until war breaks out, and one turn of outright war, using the second deck in the game. So I hope to have that video out relatively soon. Now, I've been out so long from wargaming. You know, when you come back, you crave a good old hex and counter game. I know I love CDGs. You know, there's a lot of novel ways of playing war games, but your body craves, that good old hex and counter game. So I intend to play one game by Revolution Games, which is Red Typhoon. Red Typhoon is a good old hex and counter game, one mapper about the Soviet counteroffensive against the Germans as their offensive, petered out at the end of December 1941. And I also intend to do a video on another Revolution game, which is Patton's Vanguard. It's a game by Michael Ranella. I think I have all or most of Michael Ranella's games. It's Area Impulse. I love those games. My favorite Area Impulse game when I was growing up was Turning Point Stalingrad. I just love that. And it's a shame on me I haven't done a video on an Area Impulse game and no video on about any of Michael Ranella's games. So that's going to be the first one. I don't know as to these two videos if they will be playthroughs or regular videos showing you how the game plays. I haven't decided that yet. It will depend on the time I have available for that. So that's what's coming up next in the channel, and I want to thank all of you who waited with patience and encouraged me during my eye saga here. So now there's another thing that's coming up very near where I am in Puerto Rico. Today is, what's the day? September 5, 2017. We have a huge hurricane that's about to hit, I think tomorrow night. It's Hurricane Irma, 185 miles per hour. The eye of the hurricane has those winds. Now, the people on the Weather Channel say that the most probably the eye won't pass over Puerto Rico, but it's going to pass within 60 miles. So we're going to have hurricane winds, probably 85, 90 mile per hour winds with gusts of 120 miles per hour sometimes. So this is going to be nasty. So if you don't see any videos for a while, it wasn't my right eye anymore. It was the hurricane. So folks, it's a pleasure to be back. And thanks for watching and wish me luck with the hurricane. Okay, guys, take care.